I'm Shauna Lee. This is Infinity Readings, and this will be the report for June of 2025. I'm going to get right into it. The first card from the Wisdom deck here that we have for the energy of June and forward. My readings can move up to 3 months, 4 months in advance, so keep that in mind. The first card that we have here is 30 Rigid. Whenever I get this card in a reading, it usually means somebody's taking a rigid stance, not giving, not bending at all, right? It's taking, a solid stance against something. So we'll just leave that there. I don't know if we're going past, present, and future here, but nonetheless, that is where we would put past energy. Now, as we move into the present here, we get 33. Talking about loyalty, where your loyalties lie. Yeah, loyalty, that could be in a bunch of areas, right? What we feel loyal to, or who is or is not being loyal to us, is highly being taken into account at this time. And I have a heightened awareness of politics in this reading. It's like say, and I'm getting too vague, but I'm getting politics here. We're going right into the root cause of all this stuff. So loyalties have a bearing on what is going on right now. Okay. It's like I'm getting 3 levels of stuff all at once, and my cards are one layer, my opinion and general society's opinion is another layer, and the facts are another layer on top of that. So I feel like this is all split into 3 ways to keep things simple. But it's not simple, is what they said. So right now, the energy here has to do with loyalties. I feel like there's an eruption due to disloyalties or loyalties others perceive as wrong, this kind of thing. This is highly what's in the air at this time. Okay. Now, they're giving me feedback from the old reading I did here on Mexico, North America. These areas will be kind of where I'm centered on mostly. They will expand to other areas in different time zones at different points in time. Man, it's hard to express here. There's a lot of energy coming down really quick. I'm just going to slow that down. Yeah, I just start this reading like 3 times because there was a speed that was like not mine. Okay. So there's a sense of people wanting to do things quickly and fast, this kind of thing. Okay, as we move into the future, loyalties are in question here. 11. Interesting numbers we got here, 30, 33, and 11. Complicated, yeah. And they told me that. They're going, it's not simple. There's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of people on different sides of fences fighting. Again, nothing is united. We're all individual aspects of things are being broken down to little bits here that really don't matter. There's no bigger picture here is what I'm getting. This might even be with the war and stuff, but they're really showing me North America and Mexico here. But nonetheless, okay, as we move into the cards here, the next level. 30, the rigid stance. There might have been a rigid stance we came from. We're trying to stand up for here. And we may be finding that there's loyalties are in question. And also loyalties are, people are going to be disloyal to us. And they may not even understand, not that they don't understand. People may be disloyal to us and not get the bigger picture. We may be caught up in fighting against things that really don't matter. The bigger picture here, again, is not being seen. So on top of that card, we got the chakra cards. And the chakra card on top of 30 is the devil. Okay. 15, and ultimately I think it's a war of good and evil here. So here we are. The evil was in our past, right? There's a cup of love that somebody wants to give outward to people, people in their community, their family, whatnot. And then there's interruptions in this. And again, joining with other people. We're going to get in and amongst there and create havoc. This is the root cause here. is breaking people down so they can't join hands, they can't give love, they can't. Okay? Now that's that energy that's in the background. And isn't it interesting it doesn't have a face? It's going and mutating into people and their opinions and being, not people who are not psychically aware. Now, what I mean by that is they're not awake and aware of their surroundings to a degree that, and I mean, we all came from this place. I even came from a place where you just kind of do things. You're not, what do you call that? Conscious of what you're doing. You just do things like a robot, like you're programmed. Okay. And you don't question, you just do what you feel emotionally to do, but sometimes our emotions can steer us in the wrong way because we come from anger and from bitterness and resentment. And these areas are getting all exploded at this time. This is the devil, right? Okay, how do I say this? Some people don't believe in the devil. Some people don't believe in goodness. Some people don't believe whatever. All your thought processes are going to be turned on its head. You have to believe in something. Something. You can't just be going, because you're going to get lost in the shuffle. So, having said that, I don't mean that you have to believe in the devil, but there is energies out there that are trying to counter good-spirited ways and good-spirited energy and good-spirited people. They're trying to divide them. And so far in the past, they've been successful. Now I feel this is the stage where we start to wake up, right? And that's that unawakeness, that kind of being controlled by our emotions to a degree that our brain gets taken out of things. This is exactly where we came from in the past. And that's what the devil loves, that. Just go by passion and don't think. Just go and I tell you what to do, you do it, and you suffer consequences later. Right? And not only that, we build up an ego so that we will deny being wrong. We will deny taking accountability. We'll just keep going forward and trampling on things. This is kind of the energy, the rigid energy I get in the past. And I know from the readings, like if you followed me all along, you know that there was a point here where the universe decided these egos, they got to shift. They got to be more compassionate. They got to be more understanding. They got to be more fallible, whatever, where they understand that they can do wrong and they, try not to do wrong in the future and be more fine-tuned to this energy. I'm feeling to resort back to that. So as we move into the present energy, 33, loyalty, speaking, and it speaks to disloyalty and being loyal to those who are in your way. And this can be on the negative or on the positive. And I'm seeing both here. And the chakra card we get on top of that is the Ace of Cups. Okay. That's that emotional center, right? We came from an emotional center that was erupting in such a way that we brought anger forth, is the sense they're giving me. And that was the devil's energy, right? I got to label it something. If you don't believe in the devil, I'm getting strong sense here. I don't believe in the devil. Oh, that's fine. But we have to label that energy as something. So this is what I'm labeling it, right? And that energy was warped. It's people, they erupt out of anger and they figure they can make accomplishments in this way, and have in the past, frankly, by scaring people, causing panic, all of this stuff. Like my voice is very scared. I'm getting a scared essence here. Like when you're really scared, like something spooked you and your voice shakes. This is coming through here. I feel like a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are not in their truth at this time, especially in an emotional way. We have to be loyal to our emotional center. And unfortunately, we have to purge negative emotions in order to make room for the positive ones. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I can't get rid of that shake in my voice. That's somebody is scared. I'm throat chakra activated, so a lot of energy will come through my throat, meaning my speech, right? This is what. Now, I'm just trying to figure this out. There's another layer that I haven't used in the past that's coming forth to be utilized on another level. And I have to speak to the fear, is what they're saying. Speak to the fear, because it is that is creating the emotional upheavals. So we got a fear of something here. We either have to stop fearing it, see it differently, or remove ourselves. I don't know what the solution is here, because I don't know exactly what, because there's a wide range of energy here that's coming forth in fear. Those in fear need to leave is what I'm getting, but is it that easy? Is it that easy? It may be in certain circumstances here. Like a physical removal can help, is what this is. It's vague but specific. It's an oxymoron. This reading is weird. I was, it's weird because I was reluctant. I was supposed to come in on the 1st. Things didn't line up. And I learned a lot about my role here in doing these readings and whatnot, having joined quite closely with my guides and whatnot. So I learned different levels there that I'm appreciative of and understanding of. And because of that, I needed time to process. And I just didn't feel in the right mode to deliver the energy. Then I found there was like a sense of, okay, we're going to hold this off a little bit because I don't know if I'm in the right place to deliver. And their statement to me was, you're always in the right place. It's just, what is your intent? What is your intent? And I said to speak the truth. And they said, that's all we have to focus on. And there goes, my voice is back. That's all we need to focus on. Okay, man. It's breaking though. It's like somebody's trying to come out of being oppressed. Someone's trying to come out of a zone where they couldn't say what they wanted to say out of fear of retribution, and they can't do what they want to do out of the same fear. And they're starting to come out of this and see that they're showing me someone, spreading their wings, really. But the first step is always the hardest, is the sense. Now, this is very emotional for that person because they're going to be going through fear, you could be even anger, but they're showing me the lesser of these because we've already, in our mental mindscape, we've already come to a point here where we have decided I got nothing to lose. And when you have that idea in your head, that's a breakthrough, because before it was like, oh, I'm scared of losing whatever I'm threatened with. So when you take that stand and say, okay, I'm no longer, this is where we break through these barriers. Okay, so emotions here, they may be erupting quite highly. They may be erupting in fear and whatnot. I feel like they're showing me down to an individual sitting, like if you get scared, you kind of freeze, right? I feel like that's our past. I feel like we've frozen because we just don't know what to do. We just do what we're told so we don't get out of line. Almost like a kid that's done wrong and now they're trying to watch their step. It's like that. And as we move into the future, they're showing me the importance here. And again, if you're a follower of me, the importance of emotional purging. Because there's a pause here where this person is kind of numb. And now, I don't know if you've been touched energetically. You will know, because you will have a lot of points in your life here where you cannot control your emotions. They will be erupting. And this is the universal flow trying to get you to empty all of that so we don't go out and rage, shooting people up and not knowing what the hell's going on. It's just your mind distorting. We are in an advancement period here. Energetically, shit's changing. Your mind will change in unperceived ways. You will never have known how your mind will change. But in order to allow this, we need to purge our emotional centers. They need to feel whatever it is. If you're anxiety, feel it. If you feel like, because anxiety will come down to fear of something. And if you need to cry, cry. This repression, it just empowers the devil. If you repress your energy and don't allow yourself to feel, you are working with the devil, I hate to say. But I have to put it in that kind of a term because he is just loving what you're doing because you're self-destructing and he's along for the ride. He wants to see you dissolve into that self-destruction, and you cannot allow this. You cannot allow this. For those on the verge. Now, emotional centers, they will be purged, whether you agree to it or not. And agreeing to it is someone surrendering. They close the door behind them in the bathroom and they sob when it's not time to do it, whenever. You go in there and you allow that emotion to release itself. That is what needs to happen. Because when you do that, it's like your battery's on red and it's full to the top and it's going to blow. But if you go in and you cry, you feel that emotion of pain, sorrow, sadness, sickness, whatever, you will, once you feel that, you will start to get your battery back on green. It's full of red and then it starts to go down, 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 and then it starts to build green back up. And you can be full of green, which is good, loving, caring, compassionate emotions. But if you're full of red, you have to empty that red. And the red is anger, bitterness, resentment, all this stuff. And if the news is triggering you, shut the fucking thing off. Shut it off. You're being triggered on purpose to control you, so don't allow that. Not very many people are mentally strong enough to take that on a daily basis. And I'm thinking about people, in the elderly homes, they sit and they watch, they're plunked in front of a TV sometimes and they watch. And even though some of them may even be, you may even have people who are, how would you say, what's the word? Where they don't process their reality. They're processing stuff. And it just brings ideas in that don't need to be there. They don't need to be there. If you don't see 5 news stories about how people are dead or killed or murdered in anger, how much better can you feel? Tons better. I can't express that enough. Our emotional centers are being heightened here. Some intentionally in the wrong way, and others, it's a fight to get the ones in the right way. But they're out there. And they are being beacons for those that are not in that way. Now, they're showing me, how do I express that? They're showing me like really negative groups of people and really positive groups of people. There'll be overlay of some, right? That's allowed because there's certain energy frequencies that just do not mix, right? But some will be allowed to see, and they will go and gravitate to where their heart yearns to be if they can fight that fight. Oh man, I'm just getting the whole psychic war here. Anyway, let's move on. The Ace of Cups, in the now, we're speaking about loyalties, those we love and care for. And I would say tighten that belt and don't take any outsiders in at this time. Just deal with those you truly know you care and love for, and you may be surprised there's a few that might just pop out during this time. Now, they gave me, if you go back to my energy readings, they said in June, and I went specifically. At first, when they gave me those parameters, they were saying the 19th to the 23rd-ish. Now they're breaking that energy down to 17th, which is like 3 days from now, to the 27th. This is where the maximum amount of energy flow. Now, this is just energetics. A lot of this is not seen. So this is when the maximum amount of explosion can happen. The maximum amount of damage you're going to be seeing during this time. And unfortunately, there's going to be damage here. And after that, it's going to be, this is what we have to deal with. So I feel like something's on the verge. Obviously, I mean, this could be worldwide. They're showing me the whole globe here. There's a compression factor. And the amount of time, I don't know if you're getting my drift here, but I'm laying it out no less. There's a compression factor that's going to happen here from the 19th to the 27th, 29th of this month, 27th, where energetically, like, think of a wave that's compressed. It has to splash out and rebalance itself, right? This is energetically what's happening. This wave is compressing and it's got to splash out. So the splash out is how it relays itself on the physical plane. Because the energetic factor is going to be hit during this time. That's what they're telling me. The maximum is going to be hit during this time. And after that fact, we may even have a pause point. How it unveils itself in the world will be in a way that, is highly unpredictable, is what they're telling me. So we really can't say. It could be, they could stretch it out over a year, over a month. And they're going, it would be high intensity if it was over a week, but they're going, they could stretch it to come out over a long period of time. And they go, we do foresee this, but there's parameters here that we could break this down in a shorter period of time. Now, what that means is, how would I express that? I'm talking in, they're showing me it's not being understood. So, okay, let's do the wave thing. Now, when you have water that's still, and you put a paddle in there and you create a harsh, sharp movement, all the water that was still before creates upheaval. Do you get my drift now? They're going, yeah. So this is what's happening here, and we're seeing evidence of this in the news and whatnot. There's eruptions because of this. It's going to hit its paramount, okay, for this time period. Then it has to, then the wave has to go down unless there's another force. And they're going, we don't see another force here. We see this dissipating. But again, not that it can't happen in the future, but within this year, there's no more of this. This year, we're talking about this wave format. It's not going to hit the high that it is hit over this period of time, which is in the future, just very, very, very right now, really, in the matter of time it takes me to get this out. So it shouldn't, I'm recording this on the 14th, so I'm predicting the 15th. For sure, I'll have it out. And like we're talking from, they said, the 17th, 19th. So like literally days where it's going to hit a crescendo. And in a song, they're going, look at a song. When you hit a crescendo, that is the biggest part of it. And then after it, it kind of fades off and moves into the future. This is what I'm getting here. Okay, now, as we move into the future, what's the card on top of the complicated? And they're going, it is not cut and dry here. Nothing's black and white. What has happened is they have succeeded in breaking people down and preventing them from uniting. This has caused a lot of turbulence in the field. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. On top of the complicated card, which is 11, which is an ascended code, by the way. King of Wands, yes, he is the one that attains victory and whatever it is he seeks to find. Now, I'm getting another contradictory feeling, and that's the complication is there are a lot of people being fueled by their, whatever it is. Could be ego, could be guidance, higher guidance, could be. But in all of this, they are being guided highly to go in these certain areas, get these things, whatever it is that they want. And some is for highest good, some is not, right? So We're going out and getting these things and attaining them in the ways that we see fit. Now, we are human beings. We do not see all aspects from, like when you're looking from above. Uh, yeah, they've introduced me to this energy a long time ago, saying, when you see things from the above, it's very clear, it's very precise. We know what to do. We can see the future ahead, how our decisions affect things. None of this is being seen here. So therefore, right, there's great potential for damage if you're not thinking of the highest good of yourself along with others. And a lot of these people are coming from selfish. And when you see that, you don't think about how other people, you don't think. So this is not in unity, right? So again, there'll be problems there. But nonetheless, certain people will or will not be successful. And again, there's strings being pulled all over the place. People are being put in traps and things. But again, the higher aspect here, a lot of people are not seeing clearly. A lot of people are blind to the results here. I feel I want this candy, so I'm going to take it. So you take it and you eat it and you get a tummy ache later. This is the kind of stuff we're dealing with. And they don't realize, right? Could be like an hour down the road and suddenly you get a tummy ache. And do you know what caused that? And I feel like that candy is kind of like karma. Do you know what you truly did here, right? And a lot of these people, they don't know. They don't realize. Okay, so that's not good. It's this great recipe for disaster. But as we move into the devil energy, the rigid stance that we came from in our past, what do we get for the Metatron cards here? We get the inverted triangle talking about divine feminine. Okay. This is interesting because they're bringing that energy up and they're saying divine feminine energy was blocked and repressed and told what to do and da-da-da. And the revival of this energy is coming to balance itself out. This is what is ultimately being resisted. Okay, that's clear cut. They're going as clear cut as you're going to get. So, and it is, right? There's a lot of stuff here I do get from that. And people that know a lot more about it can speak more to that. But I do feel an essence of that feminine energy coming to regain its power balance, right? That's really what's being resisted. The compassion, the inner workings of, you think of the Empress card. The Empress is the loving and the nurturer and the creator. Wow. Okay. This is deep. Good energy though. And it's overlaying the past. So what's happened is the Empress energy has been repressed. And now we're dealing with the confusion. It's like, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this. I need to break free. And this is going to happen as a spiritual war within each and every individual who is going outward and portraying things in their outward world in the same dynamic, same measures. Okay. Now, I'll leave it at that. We're talking about the emotional centers here on top of loyalties. I feel like the guidance they want me to give you overall is keep your family close to you. Like they say family. But those who are caring and compassionate towards you and understanding of you and your plight in life, those people, keep them close. Because you're going to need to lean on them. And you're going to need to know that you got someone in your corner that is of this way. Because all the others are going to start to fall away in their own, their own demise. Those people that are, are players, I guess. And I don't mean, I mean people that are not who they truly portray themselves to be. Like they're people that are like two-faced or, one way to you and then you something else behind your back. These kind of people, you need to get away from these people as promptly as possible in order to make sure that you have a solid foundation to back you through this time of shifting energy. And the shifting is really going to take those people away from you anyway, with or without your consent. They will go if they're not for your highest good. Now, The Ace of Cups, that's that emotional center. Now, there will be eruptions in this way. We will be triggered in this way. And we will be also brought to things that bring out more emotional fields than we've ever felt before. That's what I'm getting as well. Now, this is the present. As we do that, and again, not all of this is going to be on the plus rainbows and unicorns side. It's going to be on emotions that we don't know how to feel in a negative way because of what we may have to see of what's going on here, because the truth is rising to the surface. Okay, on top of that Ace of Cups, what do we get? The Taurus field, revolution and refreshment. And that's the thing. We have to feel these emotions in order to heal, right? Feel to heal. It's like program that in there. But we also have to re-establish our energy field in a positive light. And the way you do that is by working through things, not ignoring, not denying, not hiding from. We have to go through this head on. Like I make a point, it's weird because I've dealt with darkness all my life and fought it all my life. Didn't even realize I was fighting it. But I did win, but it doesn't mean there's an end to it. It still keeps coming and it still keeps polluting. And the thing is you just really got to know what it's made up of and what its plan is. What's its agenda? It's there to make you angry and work outward. It wants to make you work outward and be angry at other people for no reasons, for minimal reasons. Or it will try and convince you there's a reason when there's truly not. These kinds of things. Once it does that, and once you get ingrained in that, you can start to do the work for them and ease them off. Because the thing that we're trying to do here is squash the darkness. And if we're a part of it, we can't do that. Because there's people out there for the highest good. I don't know. They don't understand. Because it's like one thing, when you bring up, like, again, I'm non-denominational. But every time I went to a church, all I heard was, if those people don't come in here and speak to God, they're not useful. And I'm like, nope, I'm out of here. That's judgment. You can't do that. Me judging them for not, everybody has the right to feel. And ultimately, I think until you die, you're going to have judgment. But the less you do it in a negative manner, the better. And I think as humans, we're fallible in that way because that's something that we rush to right away, judgment. And I have a hard time putting that away sometimes, right? Well, you see a murderer on there. How are you going to be compassionate towards that? It's very hard. I mean, I'm talking about extreme areas here. And it's also very hard when you got to deal with someone in your face being angry at someone else for what you see as no reason. How do you diminish that? These are puzzles that we deal with every day. Or it may not be every day, but, these are things that are out there. King of Wands, refreshment. Okay. Going back to the Taurus field card, I feel like that has directly to do with the emotional states. We have to purge our emotions. Get away from the news if that's what's triggering you. Don't allow it to control your world, okay? Don't allow it to get you angry. I've shut many of things off when I just know I've had enough. And then there's certain times I go straight in there to get information, and then I back off when I've had enough. You need to put parameters down in this way. And I think mostly now what we have to do is purge so that we can make room for all that compassion. Because while you're up in the red, you cannot work yourself down to compassion. You just can't. It's too far. It's too far. That bridge is out. You got to slowly work into that. And the way you do that is by purging all the negative emotions. And then you feel better. Like you say, oh, I just needed a good cry. There's a reason that phrase is still around. It's because, yes, it doesn't make you feel good while you're in it, but it is releasing. It's a steam valve that releases, and then the pressure goes back to normal. Then we see straight. Then we analyze straight. We're not off in La La Land going left or right extremes. This kind of thing. That is what we have to deal with now. The steam valve is going like it's going to blow, and we need to release that by, releasing from that which is toxic. And that could be people, that could be news, that could be media, that could be friends, all circles. That all has to be released from so we can gain our peace. And once we successfully gain peace, which not a lot of people do, then we can go outward and try again. And again, your tolerance will go up for the amount. And again, you will see things differently once you drain those emotions. So we need to refresh our emotional centers. And as we go forward here, again, this is for June. I feel like the most of this is going to hit us after the 27th. Because again, energy can hit, but the amount of physicalness that's going to come from that, how do I put it? Like, okay, we'll say a person's sitting there and they see a car accident, okay? And you're on the road. So the first thing you do is you hit shock. There is a physicalness there. It hits you, it's shock. And then you kind of, you hold your mouth, or you just, oh my God. Everybody, the first thing they say is, oh my God. Why is that? Why is that? For those people that don't believe in anything, you got to wonder, why is that? They'll even say that. It's like, where does that come from? Now, going secondly, past that, into the realm of, once they see that, okay, so they're going to be in kind of a pause until the situation is set. So we got this accident, and then suddenly, okay, call 911. Okay, so they're calling 911, da-da-da-da. And then the ambulance making its way through, they get there, and they start taking the people away. Then there's like a release, because, okay, this person's okay. So far, they're going to be taken care of, da-da-da. And then there's an emotional collapse that is allowed to happen because we're trying to be strong. We got to call 911. We got to get all these parameters in place, the ambulance, the fire truck, whatever. So while that's happening, you're on pause. And in a sense, that's like a natural repression that happens until you get into a safe place. And you'll find that when you get into a safe place, then you collapse. And I've had this happen to me as well. And I didn't try to do it. And I didn't know in my head I should do it. It just happened. And it just releases in the most inopportune time. Like, I had a situation where I had to rescue my son. And sometimes you're strong in ways you don't even perceive. But again, there was a lot of things I didn't, how do I explain? I went into the house, and my boy had said, there's a situation going on. So I said, okay, you're coming out of here. You're getting out of here. So the perpetrator that was dealing with my son up to then, I basically was causing havoc as I was taking my child away. And I screamed, because I'm a screamer. When I get mad, I'm going to yell, throat chakra. And I yelled, and this person didn't back down at all. So then I just yelled, and I created a path for my son to go. And when he was out the door, then I went in and I got in my car. And from that point, I was in shock. And I just basically said, okay, that's it. I'm leaving town. I'm going away for a few days. So I took off and I went, and I was in a position where, are you good? Everything's good? Yeah. And away we went, and I drove. And then when I was done driving, 2.5 hours later, I went and I set up shop somewhere else. When my son was okay, I went into the shower and I collapsed. It was like, okay, it's safe now. Everything's taken care of. You can now it can happen different ways to different people. Trauma responses, right? Going to happen different ways. But the sense that I get here is, I don't know why I really told that story, but maybe it makes sense to somebody else. There are going to be people There are going to be people here that are going to be in trauma responses, and we need to hold off on judgment and just allow that process to unfold. And, I'm not a trained psychologist, nothing like that. I've just been through stuff, and I've talked to people about it. And we come up with conclusions, and that's that. So it's just kind of deductive reasoning. But on the same path, this is, there's uncanny things that can happen. People can just check out all of a sudden. And you just need to allow that to happen until they gain their senses back, so that you can deal with those emotions when they surface. The worst thing you can do is, when you feel that bubble of emotion come up in you, is to stuff it, because that creates the emotional collapse, the mental collapse, which could be worse. Emotional collapse is when you can't hold it back no more. You have to let it out. And you may cry for days, you may cry for an hour, you may cry for 5 minutes, but it's something you can't control. You need to release that. And that's, maybe somebody will be going through this at this time. There's a lot of fluxes here. Now, as we go into the King of Wands energy, the complicated energy of the future, the complication is that people are going and trying to do for themselves what they see is right, but they may not be considering the bigger picture here. Now, on top of that, the Metatron card that we get is the Air. Curiosity and perception. Yeah. Perception and perspective. We have an individual perspective that we're going to gain something, but we're going to look back on it and perceive things differently. We're going to see it, and we can't prevent it. So in a sense, there's like a karmic wheel of fortune, fateful event that's going to happen over this period of time. Worldwide. They're showing me worldwide, but I feel like it's going to play out more visually on the North American and Mexico area. I feel like it's going to be in your face in this way. And it may also be that that's the area where it's going to be the hardest to see, because it's going to be tried to be covered up, tried to be this kind of thing. But give me a moment here. The curiosity. Because the Air ultimately is about communication, which I'm having a hard time doing. And gaining those things through communications. Okay, this is making sense. And individual perspectives on what they want and what to attain. I do feel overall, no matter if you're coming from the negative or the positive, you're all connected to the higher power. Okay? And the positive is here to move forward in peace and grace. And the negative is here to show you that contrast of what you don't want. Now, this is all being controlled from the above to see the most clearly. So, I don't know how to say, like, when, say you're making friends, like they're showing me in a school ground, kids making friends, and sometimes they don't know who's a good friend and who's a bad friend until you see them literally doing something wrong. So if Johnny and Billy are playing in the courtyard, and Johnny decides he's going to go over and pick weeds in the corner, and then Billy goes and he takes off and he starts beating on other people, Johnny turns around and sees this, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. And then Billy comes back and says, hey, buddy. And he's like, don't buddy me. What you did there is wrong. Again, if you don't know, if you're one individual person running around like an idiot on the earth by themselves, you could do whatever you want with no consequence, because there's nobody there to reflect anything back to you. I'm getting this. This is what. And I feel like through this time of most turbulence and most consequence and most, I feel like instant karma. They're showing me instant karma. They're going like that, like smack, like it's going to hit you before you even get that thought out. The energy's going to hit you, the repercussion for this. Then secondly, and for those that don't get repercussions or have weaseled their way out of things for a long period of time, that's a huge learning curve they're going to have to suck up right there and then. But it's going to be absorbed. This is what they're giving me. They're going, oh, we're going to absorb everything here. Because not only are our consequences being instantaneous, they're being full-fledged energetically, meaning the energy is, there's absolute perfection in how it is delivered, deserved. All of this stuff is being, whew. So yeah, there's a huge consequence here. 4 things going on. I feel the need to jump to the TLC card. I got a TLC card knowing that this energy was going to be harsh, almost to the degree I was avoiding reading it. It's like, do I really need to read this if it's going to be negative? But I'm not one of those people that, can deliver stuff positive all the time. It's just not that way. So let's jump to that, and then I'll go over the analysis here. The card is Seek Understanding. Wow. I feel this is going to be hard over this time and a little bit into the future after this period, especially after July. It's like a pagoda, kind of a gazebo type thing where you sit and enjoy your peace, right? And they were sending me energy for that. Like, a lot of us are going to have to sit in peace by ourselves and digest things that we don't want to digest. But in order to move forward with clarity, we need to do that. Okay. Words may be used by you as a calming balm in the face of antagonism. And that's what's happening right now, is antagonism. But I love these cards, how they tie it all together. I'm going to repeat that again. Words may be used by you as a calming balm in the face of antagonism. Yet your skills as a cooperative listener will also be needed at such times. Nothing is ever meant to break your spirit. Rather, it is meant to liberate you from false ideas you may be holding about yourself. What you are in need of learning is to meet opposition with love, rather than to shrink in the face of it. Tackle the situation directly and with common sense, while also keeping to an honorable measure of compassion for the other. Renewal is underway. Look at that. Renewal links highly to this Taurus field card I had right now. Now, give me a moment to break all this down. It's so much. These cards, these TLC cards, it was weird because I wasn't going to buy them at first. And then I looked at who the author is, like Shauna something. And I was like, oh, they spelled it the same way. Yeah, I'll take it. It was on a whim like that. But these cards are very profoundly, energetically tying into everything here so nicely. From a higher wisdom, right? Yeah. Give me a second here. So first of all, we are being antagonized on purpose. It's what I'm feeling. To control us, to do things. Other people want us to do things instead of them, and then it's okay. I don't get blamed for it. This kind of thing. Like, that's the devil's energy. That's what I feel playing out here. You can see it very clearly if you look from that perspective. Now, again, calming balm is what you need to focus on. Your skills as a cooperative listener will be needed at such times. So basically what they're saying is soothing words can go a long way, along with an active listening to what is truly going on. So there's a sense here of calming thyself, right? And also in that calming is not to let words coming at us in defense or antagonism to, bring too much upheaval to, right? Again, don't watch the news. That'll take the 50 to 75% of that right out of there. Nothing is ever meant to break your spirit. It's interesting because my relationships with people, I learned the most when I had my son, because suddenly there was a person there that truly mattered. I didn't want to wreck their life. I thought of the higher good of this child more than I would have thought in friendships. Unfortunately, at the time that I was learning this lesson, my boy's 20 now, so it was a while ago. But nonetheless, I was at a point where I just didn't think ahead. Same thing, same perspective. I get what I want, and then I don't worry about much else after. It's an immature energy, and people have to work past that. I actually had a conversation with my son the other day, and he says, "Do you remember when we went to the fair and stuff?" And again, not understanding from a higher perspective, and also from the highest good of all involved, not just me and not just my son. When I was younger, my son had a running away problem. And I used to have to, and people, I didn't give a shit what people thought. I was like, I'm chaining my kid. I have to harness him. I had to put a backpack on him that I could hold on to because he would take off and gone, like gone. I don't know where he is. And there's only once that happened majorly. And after that, I had a backpack on him. And at the time, they were selling these things. They don't sell them anymore. But I knew my son would run, and he has no clue what he's doing. So and when I would go to events like Canada Day or whatever, I would have him on a harness. And some people, there's other kids with harnesses. You get it. It's like there's this kid doesn't understand the safety of the own self, right? So I was above protecting. I was in protective mode. My son's gonna be harnessed. That's it. In order to keep him safe, I had to do that. And he's gonna be 20 now. And he said to me, "Mom, do you remember when we were at the park and you told me that," oh, jeez, I feel so bad because I'm like, I really went that far. "You told me there were snipers on top of the parliament and they'll take you out if you leave too far from your mother." And I, again, emotional immaturity, but I was that scared of losing my son to somebody, anything. Like I was paranoid. And I never even took him out for the first year, it seemed, but nonetheless. And I'm like, "Seth, I did not say that." And I'm like, "I wouldn't say that." And he goes, "Well, you told me there are people that had video cameras and they could see. And they would, if you got too far from your mom, they would snatch you." And I'm like, that's something I would say, yeah. Like snipers, no. But he had expanded it in his head to the degree there's snipers at Parliament. And that's where we would go to celebrations and stuff for Canada Day. And I was like, oh man, are you kidding me? And then I felt bad. I said, "Well, he says, yeah. He says, it was a few years back when I was 14. He said, I was talking to the guys and he said something like a story basically saying, the psycho his mom is. But I was for the highest good of my child. I have to, tell him this. Because I felt like I had to lie to him in order to keep him safe. Okay, you listening? This is what I mean. This is coming out worldwide, things like this. And there's an inability, like with me and my son, I said, "Do you understand why I told you that lie?" And he says, "Well, to keep me from leaving." I said, "Yeah." I said, "You were very not listening. You would not listen to anything I said and you would take off." And I said, in a crowd of people of thousands, you could be gone in a snap. And I said, I would do everything in my power. And he goes, "Yeah, I understand, Mom." And I said, "I'm sorry that I told you that lie. And I didn't think I would say something like that. But I was obviously very scared. Very scared." And he says, "Yeah, no, I understand." So we talked it out. And now, I don't know, that creates anxiety for him, right? He has things that he has anxiety problems. And then you think, wow, these little stories that you kind of tell them, you think they're going to just grow out of it, but they don't. It creates a world for them. This is going to happen in the news and stuff like this as well. So anyway, yeah, I did that. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about what my son's how he's going to take that forward. I just thought, you're not going to leave me. And you stay with me, and that's it. And that was that. And it cured that, but I didn't think after, because he didn't ask, we didn't talk, we didn't say, to correct it. And say, that there's nobody there and there may be video cameras, but there's video cameras everywhere. And I told my son, I said, you pretend there are video cameras everywhere because there is someone watching you. That energy itself is watching you. And if you go and you think you're not being seen, you're being seen. And that's the way that I would project you to think as well. Even if you think in your little world that there's nobody there, there's no accountability, there's always an energetic account for what is going on. You are being perceived. So you need to act as such. And for some people, it could change their whole worldview by knowing that somebody is watching you, and every single second, even when nobody's there, you're being watched. That could change the way you live your life. And if it does, congratulations, because you're in the new energy field here where we are going to work with that energy, not against it. And that's when you go places. That's when you do things. That's when things starts to happen. Okay. Okay. Yeah, my throat is really wanting to stuff this. Like I got literally feels like a flap in the back of my throat. I'm going to get through this. What you are in need of learning is to meet opposition with love. This is not. And I have a hard time with this as well. Because when you have someone who's speaking a non-truth, and you got to go up to them and care about what they're spewing, that's hard to do. It's hard to do that. And I've had opportunities, they kind of give me little opportunities here and there to go against opposition. And I'll tell you, I've evolved enough where I can keep a level head where it used to be tempered like right away. I can get to a point where I keep a level head, but there's a certain point where if you're not making headway, I get frustrated. Of course, frustrated is on the other end of peace and love and grace, right? So it's hard. I know it's hard. Rather than to shrink in the face of opposition, don't shrink, but also don't be what they are. You know, this kind of thing. If they're coming at you with guns and knives, you just not do that. You know, and it's weird because they sent me a vision. I'd seen something on the internet about basically a robbery going, and then somebody had intercepted it in a way that it diffused it, and the guy took off. So nobody was harmed per se. And I thought in my head, I'm like, what would I do in that scenario? And then they took me back to a few times where I've had not a robbery, but somebody flipped out. And I was there to witness it, and I went in and I did something that was like, this person was angry. They were resentful of people, starting pointing fingers and saying, you did it, like accusing people of things. And I think the universal flow just jumped in me and kind of possessed me at that time. Because normally you look at a scenario like that where somebody's flipping out and saying, you did it, and creating negative energy where there was once peace, right? It's just living room. Everybody was doing their own thing, reading, sitting around, enjoying the vibe. And then somebody starts, creating upheaval. And basically what had happened was, I don't know, I suddenly saw through to that soul and knew that they weren't trying to gain attention through hate. They were trying to gain attention for love. So I just went in there and I gave them a hug. And they just broke. And I don't know. Again, I feel like I was possessed by God himself. Because I didn't, if I were to look at that scenario, but that was me. And that's what I did. But in another world, I don't know. I maybe would have just backed off and said, having a bad day. I'm out of here, But, and that just diffused it. And then that person, after that point, they just had a soft spot, and because a lot of these people that are creating havoc and all of that, they need compassion, not. And I know it's hard. It's not easy. And these people can be the closest people to you or the furthest from you. But it's, yeah. Meeting opposition with love. Okay, so tackle the situation directly and with common sense. Yeah, and I don't know, I think common sense is something that the darker side really tries to avert us from using. They shame us to not use common sense, or, is that allowed anymore? Um, yeah. I feel like I'm talking with spirit and just spitting out things here that might not be translatable, but also keeping to an honorable measure of compassion for the other. Renewal is underway. I feel like that's the whole thing here. There's a renewal and a peace that wants to come forward here. And how are we going to get that when everybody's shooting everybody up and creating war and all this stuff, right? So there's a perception shift that needs to happen here. When I see this air sign, I feel very positive. But that's in the future. That's beyond gaining and attaining what it is that we want. And unfortunately, there's people that are going to gain and attain things that they want that are not for their highest good, our highest good, society as a whole. But through that process, we will be able to perceive that more clearly. Whereas before they were underground, if you will. I say underground, but not illuminated. After the process, I'd take it what I want, then they're illuminated, right? When the kid walks in the store, he's not illuminated till he goes to grab something and run out without paying. Then you see him. Oh, yeah, there he is. Now you can go after him and figure out what's going on. I feel like the complication is because these people are trying to take what they want and disguise it as a virtue and say, well, this is what I want, but this is because of this. And I'm seeing the Trumpster there. That's funny. That's funny. He's not a fire energy. I think he's air, isn't he? But he's in fired up mode. He likes this energy here. But again, we're trying to gain things that we want. We're really being seen more clearly for what our true motives are. And that perspective shift, people are going to get curious about that and uncover that in new ways. It's interesting. I do feel for him specifically, there's a lot of spiritual growth that's going to happen here after this date. Because there's, I don't know if his tower's falling or what the hell. But he's going to take action on things here. And there's a perceptive shift. Now, is it his perspective? He's going to try and veil it under something else. But again, things just this year, you cannot hide things. If you're shifty and you're trying to manipulate things, man, it's just coming to the surface. This is not the year to do it. And I'm not trying to help the opposition, but I'm just saying it's gonna be uncovered. However and sometimes it's the fate of these people to be uncovered. That's meant to happen. And that's the sense I get here. Now, those that are trying to attain things, highly give me mine. I want to own. I want to be in charge of. This is stuff that if you go underhandedly about it and not above board, not where the public sees what you're doing, all of this is going to be exposed. Wait, so it's almost like there's something about him that's going to get exposed here. I don't know in which way. They're giving me a question mark there. I'm not meant to know. Maybe because it's not meant to go out in public until the point it comes out. Boom, there it is. So it can't be prevented. It can't be messed with. It's karmic. It's karmic. Karmic and fated and da-da-da. All those things. Destiny, da-da-da. It's all in play here. So this is a brick wall, essentially, that's meant to be. Let's put the downward thing. It's meant to be. Yeah. Wow. So it's interesting because they're not letting his face go out of my mind here. I'm not going to say his name again. There's something happening with this dude. And it is fateful because they're just, when they block someone's path, right? Because you can read into things and you could see things and whatever. And there's things in the air that you can catch as well. Other people's predictions can filter in. But when there's something that's meant to be, it's in your chart, it's meant to be, nothing can change it. There's nothing that can change it. And you can't tap into it either. Nor would I. But again, I was trying to get, and they're like, We know this energy. I'm like, yeah, it's fated. It's karmic. So it could be about learning lessons. Could be just paying prices that we've, reap what we sow kind of stuff. This is all comes down to the same thing. So I'll leave that there. That's a little bit of a gift. Seek understanding. It's interesting the purple color with the King of Wands and the seek understanding. This is his lesson. He needs to understand something more than he was understanding it, and he will, but there's going to be a huge catastrophe having to deal with that. He'll see something before as one way, and then after the incident, it will be a different way. And we will have to adjust to that way. Wow. Revolution and refresh. Just give me a minute here to tell me to go back over all the Metatron cards because it's Metatron. If anybody wants to know, I never say this often, but it's like people want to know where I'm getting my information and directly related to Metatron here. He's my dude. Michael comes in and helps me with protection. Now, air, curiosity, and perception. That's what we end off with, the King of Wands and the complications. It's complicated because nothing's clear cut, and even people's motives are going to be complicated by things that they don't see. But they will see after they make the mistake. Okay? This is that curiosity and perception. I feel like the dude, okay, he's curious about something, and he's going to rip up every corner of the carpet to unveil it. And unfortunately, he has to go through something in order to get that. His perception is going to change after the fact. Now, as we go into, that's future energy. As we go into here with the emotions and the loyalties, he's going to learn as well about loyalties and those that are loyal to us or not to us. A perception of understanding who can be loyal and who cannot be loyal. Who's kissing ass and who's not. This perception is out of whack. Now, we're going to learn about that. The Ace of Cups has to do with emotional fields. Again, feeling and perceiving and also purging. If we have emotions here that we feel about certain things, we need to feel them wholeheartedly. And that includes sadness, grief, sorrow, pain, frustration. All of that has to be felt in order to be in a place where we can move forward in the correct manner. Just we're not clouded in our mind. It's funny. Again, another story. Well, it relates here. There was an episode I watch, in my spare time, and like Pluto TV. I just kind of put it on while I'm going to bed or doing my night routine or the morning. And on Ink Master, there was this one show. And of course, it's about these dudes that they tattoo, and they're all competing to see who wins, the best tattoo guy, or girl. And there's this one episode. What is it, Ninas or something? Dude, there's three judges. One guy who's kind of the commentator, and the other two are actual tattoo dudes, and they know what they're talking about. So they go, and they're the panel that, I'm sure you've seen it. But anyway, they're the panel. They're the judges. So they got to judge you, right, on what you done. So there's this one dude, and this is exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about character references. This one dude had a problem with Nunez. And he can be very crass, and I just tell it like it is, and there it is. That's what I think. And he backs up his, he's a tattoo guy. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna argue. So anyway, what happened was all along they're showing the episodes, and they were going in sequence. So it was like there was a buildup in this one dude. His critiques he couldn't handle. He was getting bad critique, and again, I think it was his ego. This is my perception, but nonetheless, he had a problem with Nunez telling him, no, you can't do this, da-da-da. And he don't hold back. So he was saying, okay, look, you didn't do this right, whatever. So he was perceiving that his tattoo was great, and he was going to impress the judge to the degree he's going to give him rave reviews, and he didn't get that. So then he started getting in his head, right? Started thinking all these thoughts. The devil got in there. Worked him right right the hell out. And to the point where he got physically aggressive with the judge. And they went to go, what was it? They went to their, like, they, at the beginning of this session, they have like kind of a creative thing that's outside of tattooing, but it still has to do with art. And they go in there and they do stuff. And the guy, like, they're all standing there giving their, what do you call that? Their assignment. And he right away starts, is like, you're gonna, and whatever. And he starts beaking off. It's like, and Nunyan's like, what's the deal here? Like, what are you talking about? And the other guy's like, oh, he just starts walking right out of the crowd into, and starts shoving them and everything. The devil got in his head, worked him up. It's like that. And there's a lot of people, even, with politicians and whatnot, you cannot let that run rampant in your head. And the thing is, this guy, you could tell, you could see in his eyes they were crazy. And even the one guy said he was crazy. The other guy didn't. The guy he was attacking didn't even call him crazy. It was the other dude. And it was so crazy. But again, rationale out the window. He got so worked up in his mind, the devil got in there. So anyway, that's really what's happening here. Is the devil's gotten in a few people's heads, and they're going out physically creating havoc because they're not seeing straight. Because why? Well, because a lot of people in the higher ups, they ain't telling it straight. Period. It's not what's happening here. Like, seriously. So let's go back as we talk about the new energy. So I'm telling stories left and right. But anyway, if you've seen that episode, it's on Pluto now. Like, it's rotating now. So you may catch it. I can't remember what the hell. I don't know. Anyway, I was like, oh my God. And the ninja's going like, man, you're going to fight me over a tattoo. Like, what is going on here? Like, the rationality. There is no rationale. This is where we're going to be in the future. It's like, what is going on here? Like, we won't make sense of it, but those persons involved, people or persons involved, they will be able to make sense. They'll know. Because, like, God himself is giving them a smack and telling them to get right here. That's what it is. The universal flow is going in there, and they'll know exactly, because they veiled it so much outside, they can't even get it right, but they're going to get it right. They have no choice. Now, as we go back to the beginning here, the rigid stance and whatnot, that divine feminine energy, they want me to touch on that again. What do you think of when you think of a divine feminine? You think of compassion, you think of motherhood, you think of babies and caring for babies and this kind of stuff, that kind of energy that overlooks. I feel like that this is the countering of all of that. Like, the negative is trying to squish compassion. That's why things are going so left field here. Like, we have no compassion for anybody. Cancel culture, that's non-compassion. Do we want to know their story? Nope, they're just out of here. We're done. And that's, again, is that right? It's your choice. You can do whatever you want. You can kick out whoever you want or invite whoever you want. But is that going to help in the greater scheme? Like, when we talk about the higher, for the greatest good of all, is it good? No, it's not, because that person's not evolving. They're shut down. And if you don't confront them, that's why they bring the negative in, is to confront that, so you both grow. And, well, they have the choice of growing or not growing, and we have the choice of moving on or growing as well. Do you see my thing here? I'm just get it through. Yeah, there's a lot of energy here. I can't even. So anyway, a lot of stories and a lot of perceptions here. That feminine energy is wanting to come in and create compassion and harmony and union with others. And there's a great undercurrent on the other side of that, trying to stop it, trying to, disjoint everybody and break things apart and da-da-da. And this is the culmination of this from the 19th to, like, literally the exposure of it's going to happen here. Now we're seeing all these things happen, but like I said, the energetic push is going to be at its highest during this 20th to 19th to 27th. After that point is you're going to start to see results of where people are going to land, having to do with their perceptions in this way. Where are they going to land here? And the universe is going to have a few people, including the one I mentioned, they're going to see things differently. They've already had a redirection, highly. This next one's going to hurt. And I don't mean physically. I mean, it's going to hurt our perception outward because we value our perception in that way of how we're perceived by people. And we could be in denial of this, no matter, but it will scar that perceptive way we go outward. Wow. Okay, I'm going to get on this. I kind of feel like I was very wordy with this, but nonetheless, I'm going to get this outward here as quick as I can. So hopefully tonight I'll get it out. Seek understanding. And I'll tell you, I've had many of things cross my path. You see it come up in news and in YouTube, whatever. And it just, I cannot understand. And I think at certain moments you just have to regress a little bit and say, like, hold space, feel, and then jump back in and go, yeah, because I don't know, there's a lot of stuff not making sense, but to them it made sense in the moment. And that's what I'm saying. They're saying getting right with God. This is the time this is going to happen here, because whether you are or you aren't, you're going to deal with Him directly. Has nothing to do with outside consequences in that way. It'll be very personal between your Maker and you. Wow. Okay, that I understand. And that's why I think it's complicated, because the universe outside of this person is not going to understand. But that person, they'll understand, because it's the most perfect flow that they're going to ingest to you in the most acceptable way, because they know from that higher perspective how this person understands. They followed you through your life, your spiritual guides and whatnot. All of that is in congruence to get you to learn this lesson, and you will learn these lessons having to do with good and bad here. Whew, yeah, this is one of the most, I don't know, sometimes I got to go back and listen to the reading before I put it out, because I feel like in the midst of it, I feel like such a combustive energy, it's hard to express. This is the energy report for June, so you guys take care. In the fall, I'll be looking into starting up Facebook. If I get no followers or anything, I'll just take that as a hint. No, I don't want to do live readings or live nights, because I'll be offering that. But if there's no followers for my Facebook page, Infinity Readings on Facebook, I'll go in there. I'll do mini reads, energy reports, and energy nights, where like energy healing, modality, that kind of thing. If you're interested in that, go in there and follow. If not, just leave it empty and I won't come in, and I'll just continue as per usual. Okay? So that's that. Public service notice. Seek understanding, and that will help you in your energy. They just want me to repeat. Words may be used by you as a calming balm in the face of antagonism. Calm yourself when you feel antagonized, and don't lash outward, is the sense. Think of karma at least. Think that I'm going to get what I give here. So, think of constructive ways to go outward rather than... Okay, that's your energy report for June of 2025. It's hard-hitting and hopefully makes sense to you. Take care, have fun and be kind, and we will talk to you soon.